A dark night consumes the world, hidden in the disguise of soot, rubble, and torn flesh. Such pain, who could endure it? In a ball of fire, evil proclaims its prevailing presence. All that is in its path is consumed, throwing all of humankind into a cavern of unknown certainty. Amidst the rubble, our world is changed forever. The question has always been there, but no one has ever really talked about what was sent us and the entire world plummeting into an unprecedented state of confusion and loss on September 11th, 2001. What made this tragic event so different from events of the past? It was as if the world stood still and listened. Yes, there were planes, the first one flying so low over the buildings of Lower Manhattan that the impending event shook the buildings and their foundations. It shook all who were in the buildings, beckoning them outside themselves in order to witness the first plane moving toward the white glistening wall of the first tower. First thoughts were that the plane was in trouble and was going to land in the Hudson River. Then the second, like a bad dream, as if those flying the plane could not see the tower in its path, glided with a sense of purpose into the heart of the world. What caused the world to awaken from a quiet sleep that day and stand united with a sense of purpose? It was a violent attack on all peoples of the world, and it struck a place deep inside that many of us had ignored. Some let lie dormant, and some totally denied. It happened in Lower Manhattan, just outside of Washington, D.C., and in Pennsylvania. It happened in you and I. This attack lay open the heart of humankind, and the greatest collapse and destruction occurred in the depths of our souls. And so God summoned the depths of goodness upon the earth. Yes, evil tried to rise up that day, only to find that the collapsing towers revealed the goodness that lies within the human soul. This goodness exploded and fractured the world in two, only to allow the face of God to shine through. The light that overcomes evil was set free across our land, and people became united as one and wished to do something to stop the pain and suffering that was unleashed that day. The desire to reach out, the wish to comfort and provide healing, was called into action by the community at St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church in Lower Manhattan. And so a memorial honoring lives lost and the goodness of our God that speaks out through all of humankind was called into creation.
Pictures of that funeral. It is Father Michael Judge. He was one of those who came in first. We were going to let you now listen in.
We need it down. We need it down.
And Mark Green. I mean, I'm sure they're all guys. They're the ones I saw.
Thousands of people that we are going to find out who perished in that terrible Holocaust. Why was Michael Judge number one? And I think I know the reason. I hope you agree with me. Michael's goal and purpose in life at that time was to bring the firemen to the point of death so they would be ready to meet their maker. There are between 200 and 300 firemen still buried there, the commissioner told us last night. Michael Judge could not have ministered to them all. It was physically impossible in this life, but not in the next. And I think that if he was given his choice, he would prefer to have happened what actually happened. He passed through the other side of life, and now he can continue doing what he wanted to do with all his heart. In the next few weeks, we're going to have names added, name after name, of people who are being brought out of that rubble. And Michael Judge is going to be on the other side of death to greet them instead of send them there. And he's going to greet them with that big Irish smile. He's going to take them by the arm and the hand and say, "Welcome. I want to take you to my Father." And so he can continue doing in death what he couldn't do in life.
Nunn honors the firefighters killed in the September 11th attacks through art. Good evening, everyone. I'm Deanna Finney, in for Donna Hicken.
And I'm Phil Amato. Thanks for joining us tonight. The pain and heartbreak from the September 11th attacks was felt all across the country. And tonight, the nation's oldest city reaches out to help heal those wounds. A stained glass window is being created to honor firefighters who rushed to the rescue. The work of art will be placed in a chapel located right across the street from one of the first fire stations to respond to the attacks. First Coast News reporter Charlene Shirk is in St. Augustine tonight and gives us a first look at this spiritually inspired artwork.
The pain experienced at the World Trade Center has touched the hearts of the Sisters of St. Joseph here in St. Augustine. Sister Diane has been commissioned to create a stained glass window as part of a memorial to those killed. Sister Diane says she hopes through her art and her heart she can help bring about the healing.
How does God make good out of such a dark night, such a darkness that occurred that day?
Sister Diane believes each stained glass window tells the story of a journey. Her story is of a journey from darkness to light.
Of course, God would be there to console and to make healing come out of a bad situation and to make himself known.
Sister Diane is designing a window for a memorial chapel in New York City. It honors the 343 firefighters lost. It also shows Father Mike, the chaplain who died at the World Trade Center, praying with firefighters. In the window, he stands in the shadows of the ruins, eternally watching over.
It shows the humanness of how deeply they felt and how deeply we felt about the loss and what was going on there.
But among the ruins are vibrant colors, symbolizing the spirit of comfort and healing. And Sister Diane hopes those who pray for answers will find them in the light that shines through her window.
And I think God showed his face on September 11th, that I'm always here. Never think that I am not, that I am alive and well, and God will make good of any situation.
Sister Diane will travel to New York City in the first couple weeks of May. There she will see the site where the window will be displayed. Then she will come back to St. Augustine and start work on it. And First Coast News will, of course, chart her progress for you. Reporting from St. Augustine, Charlene Shirk, First Coast News.
The call of an artist by a community to create is a big and awesome responsibility. The artist must be open to the spirit of the moment and the specific event. The artist must begin this journey with a listening ear and heart. The task of the artist is to discover the spirit that lies within the heart of an event and draw one or more of these meanings to life. So the great gift of being called forth to journey into the soul of the tragedy of September 11th was very humbling and the emotional challenge of a lifetime. The question to be reckoned with was one of how to bring light and healing out of a soul that has been torn in two. Thus, the great gift and call of the artist begins to take flesh. In the artist's search for meaning, she discovers that goodness came alive in so many ways on that dark and pain-filled day. The goodness of people wanting to help, to reach out in some way to all who were in pain, to reveal the goodness of the human heart. And so the breath of the Spirit quietly blew across the land and brought the meaning of the stained glass window to light, and it was created. Now the time comes for the piece of stained glass art to begin its journey to Lower Manhattan, to the center of the September 11th event, where the heart lays bare its wounds, and the breath of the Spirit calls forth peace and healing.
Site of September 11th's World Trade Center disaster. Today, the designer of the window is joining us. She is Diane Couture of the Sisters of St. Joseph of St. Augustine. Thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
First of all, why were you chosen to design this stained glass window all the way down here in St. Augustine?
Well, how that actually developed was in January of 2001. We were featured in a national magazine for the collection that's made for the retired sisters and religious throughout the United States. And we were featured in the center of that magazine that came out. What actually happened from that after September 11th, Father Peter Brophy, who is the provincial for the Franciscan Friars in New York at St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church, met with his committee about having a window designed in memory of those who were lost in the World Trade Center, due to the fact that Father Michael Judge was one of their members, and he also died, as we know, in the World Trade Center.
And we've talked about Father Michael Judge here. St. Francis of Assisi, was that damaged at all in the attack?
No, it wasn't.
No, it was not, but this is just a way of commemorating what happened. You made this design beautifully. Why did you choose this specifically?
Well, the main reason that design was chosen was to try and encompass the core of what happened on September 11th. And in any event that we encounter in our lives, there's always a core meaning or maybe a few meanings to that event. So my idea was to read and to study and to talk to the firemen in New York about the essence of that event for them. What did it mean for them?
Tell us what we're looking at right here.
We're actually looking at the angel of compassion and the angel of healing that's traditionally known in the design world with the angels. Part of that behind there is a rubble from the World Trade Center. And of course the firemen and women, and also the hat at the bottom represents the New York Police Department.
How long did it take to make this? Did you actually put the panels in?
Actually, the window is still at the studio. It's all together and ready to go. It took from the middle of November until just last week to complete
last week. And this is a big piece, 10 feet tall?
Yes, it's 6 by 8 foot.
6 by 8 foot. And when is it going up to New York? And are you going with it?
I am going with it to protect it and make sure it gets installed
your
properly.
Baby.
And we will leave on August 14th and drive it to New York, of which we will be met by some of the firemen in New York. They will come out and drive the window into St. Francis Church.
Do you expect it to be emotional?
Oh, it probably will be, for me as well, because we're very honored to have been chosen to create this piece. And also, I think as Sisters of St. Joseph, It's our privilege to create a piece that hopefully will touch people's lives and maybe provide an avenue of healing for those who are still wounded and continue to be wounded from the events on September 11th.
We can't wait to see the video when they put it up in the church. Thank you for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you. As the memorial window makes its journey and is carried to its resting place, we not only weep for the dead, but we weep for the ordinary times that were killed with them on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. As the stained glass window is installed in its resting place, the men and women who worked at Ground Zero share reflections. Many who worked in the pit proclaimed that a mysterious presence swirled from the ashes. This presence revealed a depth of love that they had never known before. Inner voices in the presence of those lost spoke of a type of love that filled the darkness and seemingly smoke-filled cavern. Those who searched not only for their loved ones found themselves embraced and comforted. The voice of the Spirit and the voices of souls lost spoke words of peace and contentment.
Nearly a year later, they now carry into his church the window honoring his sacrifice and a city still suffering.
They wanted a light to shine down on the rubble. And they're going to put rubble from the World Trade Center underneath.
In the very sanctuary of St. Francis, where Father Michael said Mass every day to his firefighters,
We're going to put the two bottom ones in first.
is where the window will be hung as a tribute.
This is for the outside. We can clean that later. Let's get this side.
Eager to see it first, Father Michael's flock from the fire station across from St. Francis. They missed their chaplain terribly, but say he went to heaven first to greet the firemen who would follow.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Sister Diane.
Hi, Sister. Tommy Ahern.
Y'all get to have a peek at the window. All right.
In just a moment, they spot Father Michael.
It's a nice tribute to us.
I thought it was great before it even lit up.
It's great having it done, and this is, I think, part of the people's thank you for all that you still do for us.
We try every day.
It is the prayer of this St. Augustine nun that every day the faith she shared with Father Michael shines through this window, and that it comforts by showing while the world endured evil, God embraced.
It's a great window. I'm very relieved that it's in, and very happy now to walk away as a servant of God who was called to use my gifts. It's all up to God to do what he wishes.
Well, just 3 hours ago, the window was dedicated and blessed at St. Francis in honor of Michael Judge and all the other victims. Reporting live from Fire Station 1 downtown, Charlene Shirk, First Coast News.
That is a beautiful story, Charlene. Thank you very much. The window took Sister Diane 9 months to make. Her many other windows can be seen in churches around the First Coast.
The winds of change continue to blow through our world. The Holy Spirit came to embrace and consume the pain and darkness that covers us. Ground Zero in Manhattan, along with the crater in Pennsylvania and the slashed side of the Pentagon, the stained glass window and all other memorials now constitute ground sacred. They are now the center of the world of spiritual truth, places where so much seems to be lost, but where everything important about us was found. That center of the soul where we go to listen to the voices of the ruins. That center where we can authentically say, God is here, within the ruin of this battered, sacred vessel. Death and the evil one are cursed. Because never had experienced human love, they were not able to grasp their power to cleanse our vision, so that our eyes were open, not closed, to the sacred in our lives. A memorial sits among the ruins of our lives on 31st Street in Lower Manhattan, depicting the light that is revealed through the human heart, a place where the spirit and sacred dwell forever. In the light of this hope, and in the dawning of a new day, heroes emerge proclaiming God's presence. Everyday heroes transformed into wounded healers, called to meet the challenges of such darkness in order to herald in the light of a new day. All who were part of Ground Zero were attendants at the birth and awakening of sacred mystery.
Coast News at 5 with Jeannie Blaylock, Alan Janae, Ken M.O. on your side, and Tim Deacon with your First Coast weather.
We're taking a live look right now at the area of Ground Zero, an area where there is a temporary memorial set up at the site of the World Trade Centers, and hundreds have been here all day. Thousands of people trying to remember all of those lost 2 years ago.
All around the world. Today, a piece of art created by a nun from St. Augustine still hanging in New York.
Sister Diane Couture created the stained glass window after 9/11. It shows angels comforting firefighters killed when the Twin Towers collapsed. Last year, it was hung in St. Francis of Assisi Church in New York to remember 9/11's first casualty, fire chaplain Father Michael Judge. First Coast News Southern Bureau reporter Maria Satiris caught up with Sister Diane again today.
Alan, I can tell you, Sister Diane is one of Sweden's most modest women I've ever met. She said she had no idea just how many lives her artwork would affect. Just yesterday, in fact, she got a call from a woman in Canada who lost a loved one in the World Trade Center. She said for 2 years, this woman had been searching closure. She found it in Sister Diane piece.
The responsibility we have as artists.
On this 9/11 anniversary, Sister Diane Couture is teaching classes at Flagler College. Last year on this day, she was in New York City for the dedication of her stained glass memorial piece.
Many, many things broader than I imagined have occurred because of the window being part of a shrine in New York.
Phone calls, emails from people around the world saying her work brought them peace. Her art piece depicts comfort through angels, and a cross, she says, is God's way of letting us know He is with us, even amidst horrible tragedy.
When that first plane hit the tower, it hit the heart of America. The second plane going in tore open the soul of America.
Now it's healing the hearts and souls of the thousands and thousands who visit St. Francis of Assisi Church in New York City.
I sat there in tears, and the people came up and they were touching it, and it was like such a reverence.
From a small studio on Cordova Street in St. Augustine to a church on West 31st Street in Midtown New York, this piece of art will forever memorialize the lives lost, and yet the resilience of America.
As long as it's there, we'll provide some kind of healing, some kind of a place where people can go to be safe.
Sister Diane told me this has been an amazing journey for her. Just the people she's been able to meet, come in contact with. The most memorable experience had been actually at Ground Zero, trying to find exact inspiration for her work before she did stained glass. She said you can truly feel the presence of all the lives lost. She said you can feel them actually comforting you as you stand at Ground Zero. Reporting live, St. Johns County, Maria Satiris, First Coast News.
This is a tremendous response to an awful incident. Maria, thanks very much. Some of you may be standing in the return line.
A dark night consumes the world, hidden in the disguise of soot, rubble, and torn flesh. Such pain, who could endure it? In a ball of fire, evil proclaims its prevailing presence. All that is in its path is consumed, throwing all humankind into a cavern of unknown certainty. Amidst the rubble, our world is changed forever. The question has always been there, but no one has ever really talked about what was sent us, and the entire world plummeting into an unprecedented state of confusion and loss on September 11, 2001. What made this tragic event so different from the events of the past? It was as if the world stood still and listened. Yes, there were planes, the first one flying so low over the buildings of Lower Manhattan that the impending event shook the buildings and the foundations. It shook all who were in the buildings, beckoning them outside themselves in order to witness the first plane moving toward the white glistening wall of the first tower. First thoughts were that the plane was in trouble